Hey everybody, it's Rob. We're just about to get started with this week's episode. Less than 10 minutes left. While you got a couple of minutes here, why don't you go check out OTheAnthem.com. It's where you can find everything OH! The Anthem, including the merch store, the podcast, and all of the videos. Open up a new tab.
Anchor.fm/OH! The Anthem is the place where you can get direct links to all the podcatchers you use to listen to our show every week.
Did you know we record every episode live on Facebook? Of course you do. But make sure that you're liking the page and turning on notifications so you get notified when we go live.
We make a ton of video content between the podcast, the short films, Heretics. YouTube.com/OH! The Anthem is the place for it all.
And of course you can find me on any social network at Robert N. Cheap.
And me at LegendCB5.
And you can find the podcast at OH! The Anthem on all your social networks. Ravens.
That was something.
Woo.
You know, sometimes I worry, like, at seeing this day come up on the calendar, Ravens at Rams.
Yep.
So I would be able to see it.
Yep.
And knowing that, like, I could plan to be off this day, I could dedicate the whole day to enjoying the game in the stadium and everything like that. And hopefully the Ravens don't disappoint me.
Yep.
Like, I didn't think that the Ravens were going to lose per se because I felt like they were the better team.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to just make sure that, like, I just didn't want to go in there and get embarrassed,
well,
you know, because it would have been so hard for me to have been so excited about this whole thing, and then just the disappointment. But
you must be so
thankfully
disappointed.
we dodged a bullet.
Must be so disappointed with that result. So here's one of the issues. The problem with Monday Night Football on the West Coast is that the game starts at 5:15 in the afternoon. 4 hours before I usually leave work.
Yeah.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and good evening. I hope all the yellow sun is empowering you today. Today I want to talk to you about what is good in the name of Superman. We all have felt the power within us as the rays of the sun have allowed us great blessings. But there's the evil afoot. And no, it's not from the Luthers, not from the Brainiacs, and certainly not the Zards. No, the evil I must tell of you today is a lack of knowledge. An evil that can be eradicated with the help of your tithings. I recently walked the streets not far from here and encountered something I feel you need to know about. There was a young boy, maybe 13 years of age, who went to take his cellular phone out of his pocket. Well, his hand slipped and the phone went flying and plummeted to the ground below us. And that child, in a moment of rage, screamed out, "Super damn it!" I know. It shocked me too. So I approached the lad and I said unto him, "Why do you curse the name of our hero in a moment like this?" He replied, "I was upset, and I did not mean no offense, Pastor Phineas Bobowski." I then told him the story I plan to tell you now. I know I tell you that earthly possessions don't mean much in the afterlife. I mean, Kal-El only made his journey to Earth with what later became his cape after all. A letter from Jimmy Olsen to the Daily Planet. For he loved her so much, her breath now escaped, and the afterworld upon her. Superman with a bellow held Lois in his arms, then in a moment of crisis flew upward toward his father, before encircling against the rotation of the Earth. He turned and turned until the Earth spun backwards, reversing time and saving the life of Lois Lane. In Kal-El's name we pray. The story is about doing things bigger than yourself and spreading the message to a backwards world, which is why I would like to introduce you to the Steel Initiative. The Steel Initiative is a $50 million project that this fellowship will undertake with your contributions. Much like the child dam in the name of our hero allowed, there are many people who in this world who have no clue who Superman is or what he can do for you, and we aim to spread that message all across the globe. If you are a new viewer, I say welcome. And most of the gospel I look to spread can be found in my books. Laser Beam Sight, 27 Ways Superman Helped Me See the Light. Alien Ways, the guide to personal fulfillment through Superman. And where do I pray when all the phone are full? The message is clear throughout all of my tithings. If you have faith in Superman, if you lavish your son upon us, then Superman will lavish that son back on you in unbelievable ways. If you believe enough, if you send your son to us, you will find that son come back to you.
It used to be that the infield was where all the rowdies and the drunks and the people who were bringing in like their own kegs and stuff like that was happening. And there were urinal races and...
Well, and that the ESPN story I saw was, as you know, this week is the 142nd running of the Preakness infield urinal races. And I was like... And for those who don't know, that's when drunkards get on top of a set of porta potties.
Yeah.
And try to run across while people chunk beers at them.
Right.
Usually catching a full beer in the head and tumbling off.
Now, also remember that there are people in these urinals at the time somebody is running over top. So God forbid if you're in there taking shit, which I already have to imagine is one of the most horrifying things in the world. It's just like, do you like Fogo de Chao? How about a $500 gift card? Thank you. You seem like a man who enjoys meat. Here is a Fogo de Chao gift card. The worst part is going to the buffet before they start walking around with the food. You get anxious. You go into Fogo de... Okay, so this is hashtag fat kid problems. But when you go to a Fogo de Chao, you walk in, they seat you, they give you your coat. You know, like you order a Coke or a drink or whatever. They take that, and they'll be like, all right, people will be around eventually. And it seems like they skip you the first couple times. Like, you're new.
Right.
Like, they don't come right to the table. They're just like, oh, ran out. Got to go get some more.
Yeah.
Got to get some more lamb. And then you're looking at, like, the little spread up there. Like, the buffet with, like, the sliced Oscar Mayer ham or something like that.
Right.
And you're just like, oh.
That looks good.
Looks so good. And you fill up on fruit and lunch meats and...
Amateur status.
That kid's
and breads and stuff like that. And then you come back and you're eating that, and then you see the meat people come by and you're just like, green everything.
Yeah.
And then you eat 9 metric tons of meat, like in like one sitting, and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Why did I do it like that? And then you read it, and then you're just like, all right. If I sit here for a couple minutes, maybe I'll get the desire to eat more.
This week on the Early Anthem podcast, we are crowning new Kings of the North, and we couldn't be more excited. Spygate 2 is coming out. Oi, the details are going to make you cringe. We got a very heartwarming story about Garrett Cole and his future in baseball. From For Your Consideration, Netflix is basically assaulting awards season. Who didn't see that coming? Top news stories of the week. 2 articles against Trump. Less than usual, but more than maybe we expected at the beginning. Some bipartisan agreements in Congress that are a little more worth than the paper that they're written on. And, of course, in the Baltimore corner, a little news from Sheila Dixon. All that and more coming at you right now on the Early Anthem podcast.
championship. This is Corey, and this is the Anthem podcast.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's Rob. Welcome to episode 297 of the The Anthem podcast, coming to you from the hashtag OTA LA studios, high above the 110 freeway in downtown Los Angeles, California. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you for listening on your podcatcher of choice. The best way to find it, anchor.fm/O The Anthem. It's the place where you can find us on every single podcatcher that you can think of. Apple, Spotify, Google, Pocket Cast, the whole thing. It's the place you need to be if you're trying to find us in an audio format for this podcast.
And, of course, you can find O The Anthem at O The Anthem on Twitter and Instagram, facebook.com/O The Anthem. All the videos, podcasts, and etc. available at youtube.com/O The Anthem. And everything O The Anthem related at otheanthem.com. Of course, you are watching us live right now, not only on Facebook, not only on YouTube, not only on Twitch, not only on Twitter. No, okay, that's all of them.
Yeah,
that's everywhere. You're watching us everywhere, live, all around the world. Thank you for joining us for this week's episode.
Yes, we have a lot to get into, so why don't we just get right to it?
That was a nice... Yep, there we go. Oop. And
back we
there
are.
we go. Hey, still working out the kinks.
So the Ravens finished up the Thursday night football schedule. We had the last Thursday night game against the Jets. Where what happened? I don't exactly remember. Did we win?
Remember there was a football contest of some variety.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. We slaughtered them.
Oh, that's right. Yes. That's of course. That is what happened.
I thoroughly enjoy when we beat teams like the Jets. Mostly because I know a lot of Jets fans, so like you can just sort of like. I haven't gotten the opportunity yet, but I'm gonna creep in at some point. Like especially when I see John. When I see JR, I'm just gonna be like, "Hey, bud, how's it going?" Give him the little like, "Sorry, what my team did to you."
Sorry, man. But not only was it a big game for the Ravens because. Yeah, is there a slaughter rule in football? I don't think there is.
No.
They would have instituted on Sunday. But not only was that a win for the Ravens, but it also means that they have clinched the spot as number one in the AFC North.
Big trust.
Yes, in Big Trust we trust. But yeah, so that makes the new I put in the episode new King of the North, but it's not new.
No,
because we also won the North last year. So. Maybe a return of the King of the North?
I mean, I feel like the King of the North thing really started this year, though. Calling it King of the North as opposed to just NFC North or AFC North Division champions. So.
Well, there is a new show on HBO. I'm not sure if you're aware of.
Little plucky program.
Little program called Game of Thrones, which popularized that. I
feel like I've seen people talk about it.
Yes,
so.
It's been out there. It's in the ether somewhere. So we have a chance. We're going into Sunday's game with an opportunity to lock up the number one seed for the playoffs.
Yeah.
Which is bye week in week one. Take a rest. Everybody get ready. Then we have a home game for week 2.
Make week 17 like irrelevant, basically.
Yes.
I mean, it would impact whether or not the Steelers make the playoffs, but I don't feel like that's enough for John Harbaugh to like put Lamar out there.
Yes. Yeah. But when you lock up, that means you have home field all the way through, right?
Yeah.
Like you can't.
And I don't think I really have been thinking about it. I don't think the Ravens have hosted an AFC championship at the bank.
No. Because we came in as 5th seed in 2012, right? We didn't win the
I don't
AFC
think we've
North.
ever been a 1 seed.
Nope.
Yeah.
And we go to Foxborough a lot in the playoffs.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the Patriots always run over all the tomato cans in their division, and then they get up to the playoffs with a 13-3 record, and it's hard to beat that.
Well,
especially when you were in the North, and it's the Steelers and the Bengals, and to a lesser extent the Browns.
Somewhat of a lesser extent.
I mean, historically speaking.
Listen. To be fair, we could run rampant through the AFC North too.
Or the South, I guess the...
Well, no, I was going to say all we need to do is to send our advanced crew out. They're shooting a web series. Incidentally, shooting the sidelines and then the changes on the field and then the sidelines and the changes on the field.
Hey, we're here, Ravens Productions. We're shooting a web series we like to call What Are the Other Team's Signs?
I feel like that's like an NFL Follies, video. Like what are the other team signs? And I feel like they'd be like, I don't know, but you seem like an all right guy. As long as you don't speak with a deep, deep Boston accent, which both of those guys did. They couldn't have come in there and said they were with any other team other than the Patriots. Of course, if you don't know what we're talking about.
It's basically like going to central casting and being like, get me the most Boston man possible.
I need somebody from Boston. Oh, well, do we have the guy for you?
I'll swing by Duncan and pick one up on the way to work.
Joe, come on over here. It'd be like if I said,
just like you see people doing gardening like at Home Depot, like the people you could pick up in the truck.
Yeah,
like there's just a bunch of like out of work Boston people outside of Dunkin' Donuts. Like, hey, you need me to yell something offensive at people? I'm here. I'm available for work.
I was gonna say it's central casting as if I need someone mid-30s, female, clearly from Baltimore. Do you know anybody I could possibly stick into that position?
I mean, yeah, think of a couple people.
Rachel comes to mind. Rachel's got the accent that people are like, "Ooh, where are you from, girl?" It's not quite Southern. It's something. I don't know what exactly.
Yeah. It's Maryland. Oh, it's Dundalk for sure.
It's Maryland. But so if you don't know what we're talking about, surprise, surprise, the Patriots have been enraptured in yet another spying controversy.
This one, it's funny. All the previous spying controversies that the Patriots have been involved in, there always seemed to be some sort of reason you could come on the Patriots side, even if it didn't seem likely. Like the original Spygate was videotaping some of practice, right? But I mean, like there was sort of a thing like, I think the argument at the time was just like, well, they were, they had finished up taping the Patriots practice and they were getting out of there and they still They just so happened to catch a little bit of the practice from the other team right before. And it's not such a big deal. I mean, like we don't need to make a huge deal. But I mean, like this one, like the video that they showed of the Bengals security, like figuring, like
confronting them,
confronting the guy is like, oh my God, it is incredible. And go find Jay Glazer from Fox Sports. He's the one with the exclusive on that one. And oh boy, it just looks so bad. The footage doesn't even look good enough to be B-roll for something like that.
As someone in my work pointed out, they basically said all the things you say if you're guilty and you get caught with your hand in the cookie jar. It's just like, hey man, we don't have to make a big deal about this. We'll delete it. It's not on a computer. It's literally on this card. If I delete it, nobody has to know about this. Like, no, you got to come out there and be like, hey, fuck you, man. You don't know me. You don't know what I'm doing out here. What do you even think you're doing?
This is the world of film. This is when you learn when like the cop rolls up and he's just like, you're not allowed to film here. It's like, listen, we'll just walk away right now. It's fine. Don't worry.
Oh, I didn't even know we weren't supposed to do that here.
I'm sorry. I didn't know I wasn't allowed to do that.
I didn't know I was allowed to do that?
I know. It's good, right? Because I didn't know I was not allowed to do that.
And we're aging ourselves again, pulling out a Dave Chappelle skit from 2004. All right. Yeah. Something we probably watched live on television, and some of you might have seen.
Dave Chappelle, my grandfather likes him. Ugh.
Yes, well. Well, speaking of things your grandfather likes, the Patriots caught up in a Spygate scandal. And the question is, who knew what and when and where? But as you pointed out in the pre-show meeting, when they got caught the first time, there was a very strong answer, a very strong response.
Yeah.
How dare you, sir? How dare you?
I mean, really, if the guy was there under and it did something he wasn't supposed to do, the Patriots statement would be, hey, this guy, Sully McSullyberg, was fired immediately.
Yes.
We found out that he was doing this, and the Bengals called us and said, what was your guy doing, pointing the field at the, like looking at the signs and stuff like that. He said he did what? We fired him on the phone that second.
Yep.
Because we knew how important this was.
Didn't even pay for his flight back to
We made him stay in Cincinnati.
Which really is cruel and unusual punishment. Don't do that to the poor guy.
But the idea that they release some statement going like, like it was all a mistake and this guy's a loved employee here and blah blah blah, and I'm just like, all right, he definitely he knew what he was doing.
They know. Yeah, he was there.
It just seems dumb though, because it's like the Bengals. Like, why are you setting out like special? I understand if you have an advanced scout who goes out and watches the Bengals game and he's just like, oh, we might want to watch out for this Tyler Boyd character. He looks talented. Maybe he's the one we double team. Like,
yeah. Or maybe he's the one that we offer an insane amount of money to in the offseason to
or
play
whatever.
for the Patriots.
But the idea that you need to like, the Patriots couldn't basically just show up and win this game is just.
Well, and so I made the comparison that Bill Belichick has essentially become presidential. And follow me on this. Number one, he, like Richard Nixon, cheated on a... I have no idea what that signal was meant.
Oh, put it on your...
Okay. Is that what that is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Here, I'll put it on me. Just give me the double tap. I'll know to put it on me. So he, like Richard Nixon, cheated in a game that he didn't have to cheat in to win. That's basically, like I said, in 1972, there was no Democrat who was going to beat Richard Nixon.
Right.
I mean, maybe Joe Biden, but, he was going to put his foot in his mouth no matter what happens. Maybe Ted Kennedy.
When Joe Biden wasn't quite a Buttigieg, but more like a...
Maybe Ted Kennedy. Had he killed that girl yet? Was that before or after 72? Was that in 72? Maybe it was 72. I don't know. But there was nobody who was going to beat him. But he said, if I have a chance to get an advantage, I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, very much like Nixon, a factoid that I always love, when they broke in the Watergate, the burglars taped the door so that the lock wouldn't engage, and a security guard found it and said, that's weird, and peeled the tape off. And they came back and retaped it. So when the security guard came to check on it later, he found it retaped. And he's like, something's going on. Listen, dummies, once you're in the door, you don't need tape on the doorway. Like, that means you came back and checked it and was like, oh, somebody took our tape off. Here, let me put some more tape on. We're already inside, but we just need to make sure we can get out through the door. Like,
it is incredible that, like...
And that's the cheating against the Bengals.
Yeah.
Like, not only are you breaking in against a competitor that you don't need to, but you're doing it in the most obvious way. You're in the press booth with press credentials and a camera, and you're like, what are you guys filming? Nothing. Looks like you're looking at the sidelines and out to the field. Like, no, of course not.
I really wonder if cheating for the Patriots is sort of like, do you know, like have you ever seen like a high impact cheater? Like someone who's always cheating on his wife and like finds like new and exotic, like having a second family.
Yes.
Like, I have two families that don't know that they're the other family, you know?
I can barely put up with one woman. What are you doing to yourself?
Yeah, but they have like 15 women spread all across the country, and they do all the subterfuge to make sure that nobody can connect with their life back to wherever they are.
I was going to say, it's the guy who gets away
It's
with
like,
having...
I'm the regional manager of Lay's, but whenever I go to Vegas, I'm the guy who works at Greenbelt. Or
It's the guy who has a second family, and then not enough adventure. Finds a way to get a third family somewhere. And you're just like... Bro, you were fine.
Like my life is spinning out of control, so I'm going to throw another thing in the mix.
You were fine until you got that third family. And she had the 12-year-old who like looked you up on Facebook.
Like Belichick looks across the room at some shady video guy, and he's just like, let's spy on the Bengals.
And
no, Bill, we don't need to sink to those. I want to do it. I want to feel the rush again.
The question is, did Belichick know? And here's the other part of him being presidential, because it may be that he didn't know. But much like...
He's the general manager. But...
But much like the current president, when you create this like spirit of we do anything to win, including cheating, maybe they go and do stuff in your name without actually approving it with you first, which... may or may not be true about the current president. I think it's
Trump is pretty famous for never telling somebody exactly what he wants,
right?
But doing it in the sort of way like, oh boy, it'd really be terrible if Joe Biden fell down a flight of stairs. Thank God that didn't happen. Anyway, see you guys later. And then you're just like, oh, so what the president is telling me with this statement is that he wants me to push Biden down a flight of stairs.
Yes, or even attack Fox News. Newscasters who have their own show in prime time. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about that in a bit. But here's what I hope. I hope that Foxborough, Massachusetts, at some point, gets the same experience that Oakland had this weekend.
Just burning the shit to the ground.
Yeah, just, you know what? Never again will a game be played in Massachusetts. Never again will anyone want to bring their team here. We hate the owner. We hate everything about it. And also, by the way, take a losing franchise to another city. That's really what I want. I want a team that does so poorly that the city won't buy them a new stadium.
I think one day we'll look back on all this team movement that happened like right around here based off of like teams moving to LA as like one of the biggest moments in terms of like the NFL going forward.
Absolutely.
Because I mean, like, you know, you think about it, 2 teams going to LA, of which neither team is being supported the way that any other, like when the Ravens moved to Baltimore, it was basically like a long lost brother came back into our lives and we welcomed him into our homes.
There were like 90 plus consecutive sellouts in Baltimore.
Right. It's ridiculous. That if that team even thought about moving, then I really think that there would be armed forces on the ground trying to keep them from moving.
As I remember, the state police closed the border the last time a team tried to leave, and I do believe that Larry Hogan would call out the National Guard. He's done it for less. He's done it for less.
He has. He certainly has.
There were 12 people protesting Adnan Syed in Baltimore, and there were 3 helicopters, and the National Guard were called out. So, yeah.
I think that it's sad that the good fans of St. Louis, San Diego, and Oakland have lost their teams.
Yes.
Especially because the LA part of this, at the very most, has been a colossal disaster. I've been hearing things about like the Chargers ticket sale people saying they haven't sold a single season ticket for the new stadium.
Again, it's don't build it on the other side of the world. Why the hell is it in Carson?
Put it in fucking Hollywood. Just buy a studio and tear down Raleigh studio. I mean, I know they wouldn't be able to, because LA would put a historical thing on that so fast. But I mean, like, find some space close to civilization.
Yeah.
Because, hey, like, I was laughing my ass off when I was watching a bit of the Chargers game the other day, and like the cut-it-throughs between commercials and the back to the field, where they're showing like people like skating on the Venice boardwalk and stuff like that, and I'm just like, that is so fucking far away from what they're.
And I mean, that's the thing,
like when they talk about the Redskins and they show like a picture of the Capitol, I'm just like, you're nowhere close.
They're not in DC. What are you talking about?
It's not like you're looking at it from the upper deck, like seeing the Capitol and being like, oh, what a beaut.
I think that is something that you learn only when you move here. Like, how far apart? Now, see, Venice is not that far, but getting there takes some doing. That's the problem. It's like, what, 4 or 5 miles away from where we are right now?
No, it's about 14.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, it's weird that it's 14 miles and it takes, 90 minutes to get there. That's the problem.
Yeah.
On a good day.
I just think LA is weird because, like, like Malibu is like 40 miles from here. But people who have never heard of LA would just think that Malibu is like right next to Santa Monica.
Yeah.
Like, it's like just the next part of the town over, It
is not. It is very far. And it takes longer than it should take to go 40 miles, especially if you're taking Pacific Coast
Unless you
Highway.
do it at 4:30 in the morning.
I mean, that's true, too.
You make great time.
I had to go to LAX this morning. LAX is what? Like, oh, no, that's probably a good 10 miles away, too.
Yeah, probably 10 to 15, yeah.
But that was a good 90-minute trip. So, but also it's the airport, and it's the most poorly designed airport in history. So.
The thing about the Rams and Chargers when they go to SoFi Stadium is just I can't imagine how horrible it's going to be to get there. Like, if the metro doesn't work to get all the way down there, God forbid.
Well, and it's on the line that's going to the airport. So, that'll be up by, 2028, right before the Olympics start. There's just going to be, Garcetti's going to be out there himself, like with a shovel. Like, we got to get this mother done. Come on.
Just make it stop here in the meantime.
The Olympic Committee shows up, the train off the tracks,
70,000 cars just trying to get into SoFi Stadium, like.
Ridiculous. And again, it's bad enough.
70,000 people all driving one person in their car to the stadium. Like,
by the way, the carpool lanes in LA are 2+, and they are empty most of the time. Yeah. I'm just like, really? You can't get one other person to ride in the car with you? Although, to be fair, most people in LA are pretentious, and I wouldn't want to be stuck in a car with one of them either. So, but back to the important part.
It would give you a nice Uber exemption, though.
That's true. Yes. Or if you put Uber stickers on your car, they don't ask a lot of questions. Whatever.
But I'm saying, like, if you have, if you just have a passenger that you're taking to the airport, you could take the carpool lane the whole way.
True. Coming back's the hard part.
Yeah.
But back to the important part, which is I feel bad for St. Louis losing their team. San Diego, maybe a little less.
I mean, San Diego, if everyone knew this is what was going to happen when the Chargers moved here, and to think that they wouldn't be doing better in San Diego right now if they would have just stayed doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah, they don't have a brand new stadium now. They're going to have a brand new stadium?
Yeah.
And they didn't get to play it
and I guess,
Staples or whatever.
Vegas is TBD, but I mean, I like the idea of it on the fact that as an opposing fan, I get to go to Vegas and go see the team play, in another location close to me.
I do feel like St. Louis will get another team. They will have a team eventually. I don't think low support. Was it also a stadium thing that made the Rams move?
Yeah, I mean, what happened though was it was Kroenke, the guy who owns the Rams, kept doing things in bad faith towards the negotiations. Like the city would just be like, "Listen, we'll pay 25% of this stadium." And he's just like, 25%. I don't know. Come back to me with a real offer, and then they would like start negotiating and get it to a number that he wanted. It's just like, all right, I think we're both living at 50. We're both okay at 50. And then the next day we would come out that Kroenke bought 6 acres of land down in L.A. And it's just like, hold on a second. This doesn't seem like we're negotiating in good faith here.
So he was trumping it, if you will.
Yeah.
Well, so that tells me though that St. Louis is okay with football. They'll build a stadium for the right team. I don't know, maybe one from Tennessee or Florida that doesn't support their football team. Moving on up to St. Louis. But Oakland doesn't deserve football. And they should just never, ever have a football team again. So
I don't know what it is about the Raiders in particular, but I mean, like yesterday after the game got done, there was a lot of people like trying to run on the field just to get arrested. There were people throwing shit on the field, booing Derek Carr as he was like saying goodbye to people. If I was a Raider fan, put it this way. If I'm a Ravens fan and the Ravens say, hey, we're moving to Vegas in 2 years, you know what I stopped doing? Being a Ravens fan.
Yeah.
I just quit. I'm just like, what am I going to do? Like follow this team like all the way to the end? And if I knew it was coming, the reason why Memorial Stadium had like 5,000 people in it in the last season the Colts were in town was because we knew they were going to move, and they were specifically trying to make it as bad of a product as possible to drive the attendance down, and
so they could
people
not
don't want to
justify
spend money on
stadium.
it. Yeah.
But and here's the thing: all of those idiots who are running on the field and trying to get arrested and booing the team will be cheering for the Las Vegas Raiders next year. So
I saw some story about like the 6 of the biggest super fans of the Raiders, and they're sitting down being interviewed, and they were just like, "Yeah, it was tough for a while, but they're family, so they, we got to stick with them." I'm just like, family? That's a fucking business.
Yep.
I mean, like, I get that. The Ravens, as far as businesses are concerned, I care way more about the Ravens and the Orioles than I do, say, like, Coke or Ford or something.
I don't know about Coke. I don't know about Coke.
No, but I mean, like, generally, I don't every week, like, go onto message boards for Coke going, like, what's the new products? I need to know. Like,
True. I have seen you try to leave a restaurant which did not offer Coke, however. So, Pepsi? Oh, yeah. Fuck Pepsi. I would say though that I can still see them as family even if they leave town, because freshman year of college I went off to school, and then on my drive home from Thanksgiving I got a text from my parents saying, "Oh, by the way, we sold your childhood home and we moved. Here's the new address." So maybe that it registers different for me, I guess. Just the team moves, you just got to go along with it wherever they decide that they're going to be.
I just don't get it. I would be so done with the team, and these people obviously are not. So
yeah. And on the other side of that, or maybe I guess the same side, super fan side, I would argue this, Corey, Garrett Cole.
Yeah.
If you wrote a screenplay in which this was the story, how quickly would Studio Notes be like, this is completely unbelievable and we are not going to put it
this would not.
You could have a deal somewhere where they're like, we will make anything you give us, and they'll read the script and be like,
at the first scene, if the first scene was him at the game with the sign, like I would just they would be like, you lost us right there. Like the fact that the next scene was him like signing the contract with the
no, that's not believable.
Basically, the quick version of the story: Garrett Cole, the top free agent pitcher available, signed the biggest free agent contract for a pitcher ever. 9 years, $324 million with the hated New York Yankees.
We hate them.
We hate them, yes. Garrett Cole obviously does not because as a child, he was photographed at the Game 1 of the World Series against the Diamondbacks with the sign that said Yankee fan now, tomorrow, forever.
Yes. Oh, no. Today, tomorrow, and forever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like 11 or 12 years old? Oh, fuck.
But he's also got one of those kid faces that, like, you could just see his face on the adult version of his face, like, immediately, and the kid, you're just like, oh, that is definitely a young Gary Cole.
Yep.
It's like, have you ever seen, like, when you see, like, Ron Howard from Happy Days and stuff like that, and you're like, oh, yeah, that is the younger version of the guy I currently know right now.
If I balled that kid up, same kid, same guy. I know him.
He hasn't changed one bit.
Well, I mean,
20.
The hairline changed a little bit, but otherwise, face is the same.
Facially, if he's wearing a hat, I don't know. That's no difference.
But just again, the story that he got photographed just randomly too, right? And but the Yankees used it as promotional material. Like,
well, I mean, like. It was a picture in a paper. Mm-hmm. The story I sent you was the guy who took the picture.
Yeah,
he's like, like I see kids with signs and I take pictures of them because like maybe they get used and stuff.
Yeah,
and this picture never really was used for anything. Like it showed up in a couple like publications, but nothing like important. Not like if you take a really important picture, it shows up like in thousands of publications all over the world.
The guy holding the Doritos bag, throwing the. From Ferguson. He's throwing the tear gas canister, but he's got the Doritos bag in his hand. Oh, that's America. Oh, that's America. I love it.
It's weird. So, but anyway, now it comes full circle because Garrett Cole is now a member of the New York Yankees. So that picture became immediately out there and everywhere because it's such an interesting
And
shot.
He chose the team solely because he loves the Yankees and his heart is there. Oh, also, $300 million over 7 years.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
Ooh. By the way, you remember when the number one paid player in baseball was like an outrageous $3 million contract? How dare you?
I remember I was watching Ken Burns baseball before the season started, the 10th inning, and they started off talking about Barry Bonds signing with San Francisco, and it's just like, Barry Bonds agrees to terms with the San Francisco Giants on a new contract. You ready for this? Hold on to your seat. 7 years, $70 million. And I'm just like, wow, we've come along.
Listen, baseball is losing money. It's not a profitable business. We can't have full minor leagues anymore. We got to make some cutbacks here. Garrett Cole.
Wait a minute. Alex Rodriguez needs $300 million to come back? All right, I guess.
It's like, Garrett, so like I was saying, we're broke. We have no money. No, there's another announcement later. It has nothing to do with any of this. We just can't afford it. Okay, thank you. And Corey, you had some announcement about a new player signing. I am going to walk away immediately. There will be no questions.
The whole Garrett Cole thing. I found out that this sort of got leaked out onto the internet. Apparently, the Yankees have some sort of contraption that's like 30 pounds. And it's got like the interlocking NY logo on the top of it. Mm-hmm. And they like slide it across the table for like important free agent signings. And it opens up and shows like the inside of Yankee Stadium.
And gold just shines on your face.
But I'm saying there's like people speculating like what else this thing might be doing like when it opens up and everything like that.
Right.
Which is all conjecture at this point. But it's still funny conjecture because it's like people thinking like it plays like New York as it opens up and like
that makes sense.
Announces Garrett Cole for like Game 1 starter of the World Series or something like that.
You know, I bet they have enough audio of the old announcer.
Oh yeah.
To like, all right, listen, we need to
some
put
Bob
this
Shepard.
Together. Yeah, just put it together so like how we have enough tones to make it say, and then everybody always gets the number 2, Derek Jeter, number 2.
Yeah. So it's just like number 38, Garrett Cole.
Until they sign, like Dakota or
some weird.
So in like 10 years when the kids who
it's just like
names.
I bought NHL 20 and for whatever reason there's not a single player in the NHL with the last name Baker. So I can't have my created player like skating down the ice where they're going like Baker moving the puck up the ice. So I had to do Corbett, which is in there, but like
Corbett's in there, but Baker isn't.
Yeah.
It was so funny. I was
The NHL is not a real sport. I stand by it. I will always stand by that premise because this is not how things should be. But anyway, I think that's all we have for sports ball this weekend.
Yep.
All right. So let me cue up that splash for the next segment. Oh.
If they're still around after we're done here tonight, it's happening.
Okay.
Because I got to film a lot of shit anyway. So over the next couple days.
I mean, I keep hearing about this stuff, and like when I have days off, and although I guess you did work this week, so
yeah, I did work on Saturday. It's fine. It took a lot out of me. For your consideration,
you're as bad as Roberto. Like worked a full 8 hours today. Whew, need a nap. Oh, let me go lay down.
I thought it was so funny. I'm like looking through the days I've worked this week, and it's like one of those because like film is different. Like you just don't work as many. You know, like you look at how many days you work this week, and out of 365, it's 250 of them or something like that.
Yep. Not hours though, because I work 12 hours a day, generally speaking.
Right, but I'm saying like it's 250 out of 365 days. Let's say.
Sure. Yeah.
And then for me, it might be 100 days. Or like
I was gonna say
90
actually I think
days.
it's 280. There's 280 work days in a year. So
Okay,
280, including some weekends. I'm probably at 300.
I was just thinking. I was just trying to back out 52 times 2 for like Saturday and Sunday for 52 weeks, and then just making a round number.
Yeah, no, that makes. Yeah, but I don't think it actually break. Anyway, nonetheless, I know that I probably have worked 300 days this year, and I think that's a nice round number because you've worked 100 and I've worked 3 times as many days as you.
It's different though. It's different.
I mean, our biceps are not nearly the same size from like holding. I do wish sometimes I'm like when I'm sitting there and my back is killing me because I'm on the computer. I'm like, you know what? I bet Corey's somewhere just like standing out on a plane and enjoying the fresh air, and then you're like, it was 1,000 degrees and I had to hold a pole up for 7 hours. I'm like, I'll take my office job. I'll take the office job. I don't want that.
Anybody who wants to think about my life, just here's an easy one. Just grab like 2 pens or 2 pencils and hold them up over your hand for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And realize that this is not as heavy as what I'm lifting, but it feels the same because you're holding it up for 10 minutes.
Yep.
And then like after about like for me it doesn't really affect me that much. But if you try to hold your hands up for like 10 minutes, then you're going to be like shaking and jello-y at the end.
And that's going to shake the mic.
Yep.
And
So you got to be
bad
perfectly
sound.
still.
Yeah. I don't want to do that.
Anywho, Netflix has decided to take the approach of dropping all their best stuff during award season to a whole new level by basically every single week dropping a new Oscar contender on the service. So they had The Irishman come out.
Yeah, and I was going to say
during Thanksgiving,
they are dropping something new, which means that between Thanksgiving and Christmas they had one a week. So that's basically 115 hours of new material.
Yeah,
because The Irishman runs what 5 hours and 70 minutes.
50 of those hours. No, so I mean, like we have The Irishman, we have Marriage Story, we have The Two Popes, we have a Michael Bay movie is now on Netflix.
That's not an award winner though.
No, but I mean, like it's still a $150 million movie that is dropping on Netflix for free.
I really want to see the stats. I know they're gonna lie and pad them, but there's no way that does as well as Irishman. They're gonna be like, yeah, this new Michael Bay competing with The Irishman. I'm gonna be like, all right, your stats are bullshit. You're lying.
You know what? I wouldn't think necessarily that that's not going to be the case because when Adam Sandler got signed to that 10-picture deal or something like that with Netflix, and people were just like, who the fuck is signing Adam Sandler to a 10-picture $500 million deal or whatever it ended up being. And basically what Netflix was is like, we have a handful of Adam Sandler movies on the platform. They are the most popular movies by actor by far. Like of any actor, his things perform better than anyone else. People want to watch movies like Adam Sandler's on streaming. So that is why we signed Adam Sandler.
Then he gives them like uncut gems or whatever that movie is.
See, that's not even on Netflix, is it?
I thought it was. I thought they were doing.
Is it eventually going to Netflix?
They were doing a theatrical run, but it was on Netflix. If not, how do you sign them and not get an exclusive deal for everything? Like, I don't know. But yeah, I was gonna say it's not the same. But that Jennifer Aniston Adam Sandler movie was essentially grown-up version of an Adam Sandler movie.
A24
So so it's A24 though. That could still. Nope. It is a theatrical release.
Well, yeah, it's definitely a theatrical release.
No,
but I don't know if it's part of the.
I don't think it is. Because that website is about like when do theatrical movies come
Okay, so his deal is through Happy Madison, Sandler's production company. And this one was not
A24.
It was A24 and Alara Pictures and IAC Films, and they cast Sandler.
I was gonna say, which means somebody saw that part and said this would be perfect for Adam Sandler.
Yeah,
and they cast him the actor, not his. It wasn't his.
The
movie.
Safdie brothers decided to take on Sandler, as opposed to bring this to his company to be produced by Netflix kind of thing. Yeah. So
well, and here's what I can tell you: Netflix do not give Adam Driver 5 movies for $50 million. You watched Marriage Story.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the one thing I'm hesitant about for watching the Marriage Story.
What?
Adam Driver. And I like it. The problem is I like his acting. I think he's a good actor.
Yeah.
I just don't like his face. I don't like your face, Adam. I don't know what to tell you.
Adam Driver is confounding to me because you can see the talent. It just like drips off of him. And he has a good physicality. It sounds weird how someone moves can be so important in like acting, but he's got good physicality. He's got great timing, great instincts.
You haven't seen Star Wars either, so this is just from non-Star Wars.
Yeah. I mean, this is just like Girls, stuff like that I've seen him in. But I mean, like,
God, he was in Girls. I never watched that show because I'm a heterosexual man. So,
but the problem, the thing is that I've low key heard a lot of women go like, "Oh my God, Adam Driver's so hot." I'm just like, really, that's hot to you? Like,
don't talk to those
and
women. You don't need that kind of negativity.
I'm not trying to like shame Adam Driver and try and tell him he's like ugly or something like that. I'm just saying it's not his. He's not being hired because he looks like Brad Pitt. He's being hired because of his acting talent.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, it's fascinating to me when someone that a lot of people would deem as unattractive is seen as some sort of sex symbol by some community or small.
And see, that's where we should have started because that's the Adam Sandler tie-in right there. Because I know women who find Adam Sandler attractive, and that disturbs me beyond all reason. How can you find Adam Driver?
I just feel like it's so easy for like in traditional heterosexual terms here, for which I'm speaking of. If I showed you a beautiful woman, there's only so many different combinations of beautiful women that like I could show and get like 90% support from, like if you showed like a Pam Anderson during the day, she'd get like 90% support. Like,
probably.
Oh,
maybe
yeah,
higher.
that's a beautiful woman.
Maybe higher.
Oh, I know, but I'm saying like and there's other women like that you can just sort of tell like a lot of men are gonna like this gal, and then men, it's just weird how.
Well, because I think
like,
women
who I really had a hot for Wallace Shawn. Like, what?
I would argue that women are not as
I don't get it.
Women
are
are
like
not,
if I was just like, who I have the hots for? B. Arthur. She
are
really
people.
does it for me.
There are people. I would say that women are not as superficial, but then I was about to use the example of Camille Nanjiani, because not the most attractive guy, but it's still superficial because they're looking at the abs picture and they're just like, oh, those abs. That's the thing. You got to have something. You just got to have one thing. And, like maybe Adam Driver's hair. Maybe that's it. They're looking at his hair and they're like, oh, that is gorgeous. That's a gorgeous head of hair. He's a beautiful man.
And here's the thing. To bring it back to like Marriage Story a little bit here. It's something I said in the review is that Adam Driver is not the type of person that I think of immediately for roles.
Right.
Like I would never say like, oh, get me Adam Driver. He would be perfect for this random casting that I have to do. Whereas if you said, billionaire playboy, I would be like Leo DiCaprio, you could think of people immediately who fill that spot. But there's never like a role per se where I would say like, I need an Adam Driver type.
I would argue against that. I would say that there is one example, his part in Black Klansman.
Now
you need like a slightly dirtballish country dude.
Yeah.
I think Adam Driver, because although the accent wasn't real,
like the hipster idea too is he fits in there. I mean, like he's sort of playing like a pretentious avant-garde director and Marriage Story theater director.
That's a little bit of typecasting.
So I mean, like that one sort of feels like
Yeah, that could be.
That would be an Adam Driver type role, but I mean, like, I don't know. Like,
who's he married to in Marriage Story?
Scarlett Johansson.
Never happened. Never gonna happen.
But I will say this: that movie is very good. I think I'll remember it more for like sort of solitary acting moments than I will as like the whole. I won't like want to rewatch all of Marriage Story, but I bet you that I would watch clips of certain scenes over again.
You know, I think I've avoided it. I have a feeling it's going to be like Boyhood, and I'm probably wrong about that. But just like a movie that had great, just like you said, a movie that had great moments, but overall as a movie, not great.
Why you're not going to want to watch this movie is because I would characterize that probably 20% of this movie is probably Noah Baumbach trying to warn people about the worst parts of divorce, which is mostly all talking about the legal aspect, like lawyers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you would be well aware of all the all the things that they're talking about. Like, because at one point it's just like he's like complaining about how he doesn't have money to pay all the legal bills for getting divorced.
Yeah, I'm trying to eat,
like,
son.
It's just like, well, you know, you're going to have to pay for 30% of your wife's lawyer, too. It's just like, what?
Maybe.
Well, I mean, you know, in California, under the pretense of this case.
And that he's the breadwinner and his wife is not? Is that the...
It gets into complicated legality about like how certain things work and stuff like that.
Listen, when you start getting into the legality of a divorce, I'm telling you, you have missed the mark. That's... something that might interest me 5 years ago. It won't interest me now, but yeah.
It's well done though. I would recommend watching it.
You know what? And I will say from the top, I'm not going to say any spoilers, but another movie you should absolutely check out, Bombshell. So
it's right at the top of my list.
I realized upon talking to you last night, it's not available everywhere. It's limited release, LA and New York right now. And we live in such a damn bubble that I
don't think
always
the rest
forget
comes
that.
out until Christmas. I don't think it drops nationwide until Christmas.
And I was just like, feeling so spoiled. I'm like, Century, you want me to drive to Century City to see this? And they're like people in the middle of the country.
What, am I an animal?
They're not going to be able to see it for a while. I'm like, I have to go to the ArcLight Hollywood.
Meanwhile, there's some guy who lives in like rural Colorado, has to drive into Denver anytime he wants to see it.
Yeah.
It's like, it takes me 45 minutes each way to drive and see a movie.
And he's not going to see Bombshell until like 2021.
I don't want to see Century City.
To be fair, it's about 45 minutes to drive to Century City too, depending on the time of day. But I will say, the one thing I told you, you absolutely need to see this. You absolutely need to start the recording because you haven't done that yet, and that means that we've missed out on half the show.
No, we haven't. It's on the thing.
It's on the thing. So, no matter what you've seen footage-wise online, you have not seen it.
Yeah.
Go see it. And Charlize Theron as Megyn Kelly, amazing.
Yeah.
And Nicole Kidman as Gretchen Carlson, amazing. And I don't know who Margot Robbie is supposed to be to playing. I think it's just an unknown person, but part of the story.
It's supposed to be like an amalgam of a whole bunch of different people. So.
That makes a lot of sense because I was trying to place who she was, and I'm like, I don't think I've heard this story before. That's weird, but it would make sense that she would just be like all of the innocence.
Yeah,
basically.
It's a catch-all for every young person who walks into Fox News.
Amazing. And if you didn't hate Fox News before you go see the movie, you will when you come out. And
it's a big year for Fox News between this and the one with Russell Crowe, the Showtime series.
Oh yeah. But don't distract me. John Lithgow.
Yeah.
As Roger Ailes. First of all, after seeing this, I am surprised that there weren't more award nominations for this movie because I knew that John Lithgow was playing Roger Ailes, and it took me a little while to see John Lithgow. And then once I saw him, I was like, oh, all right, there you are. Oh, wait, no, you're gone again. And it is like I'm trying to be like, where are the features that are him? And now I had the same thing happen when I went to see A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. I walked out and had to Google Roger Ailes because I could not picture what he really looked like. I was picturing John Lithgow playing Roger Ailes.
Yeah.
And I would have said the same thing about Megyn Kelly and Gretchen Carlson, but wow.
I feel like the Megyn Kelly is more on the nose than the Gretchen.
So on the nose.
Yeah.
So good. So good. And maybe it's just I don't remember what Gretchen Carlson looks like. But There's also, by the way, small cameo, not by him, but by a dude who looks awfully like Geraldo Rivera. And I was just like, how do you find a guy who looks like Geraldo Rivera?
Yeah.
Like mustache and
Well, you just
hair.
find somebody normal looking and you just put the mustache on.
Oh, true. I mean, you could play Geraldo
Yeah,
Rivera.
if I just put the mustache on, you just be like, Geraldo, what are you doing here?
He's
But, like, but it's me, Corey.
the glasses and the hair and the mustache.
You're either Geraldo or you're Wario.
One of the maybe a little bit of both. Go see Bob Show. You'll find out.
Depending on how fat you are. It's
Anyway, so go check it out. It's really good. Review coming this week.
Cool. On to the regular news.
Yes.
It's amazing that we've become so jaded and as a country so awful that the discussion of the third president impeached in the history of this country
Yes.
is relegated to this far down to the rundown.
Well,
But I mean, like, part of it is that we don't want to, like, you know, give everyone their vegetables before they've had their dessert.
I
kind of
also think when Andrew Johnson was impeached, there was a chance he was going to be convicted. In fact, one vote decided that impeachment. When Richard Nixon was impeached, they said, I think the general sentiment was he'll either resign or
he'll be
convicted.
Yeah.
One or the other. But he's not going to stay president. And I think the difference is this time we are not as confident in either of those results. Now, it may be that he's voted out before they get a chance to vote on it. Mm-hmm. Trials take a long time in the Senate. But I think the likelihood is that there's an acquittal coming.
I have long suspected that when this got to the Senate, it was just going to end in an acquittal. But it's just so crazy to me to think that. I guess the thing that that's been turning over in my brain a lot recently is that if you're like a Christian, if you're a conservative Christian who like always votes with Republicans because they're like the Christian party, you know, like he's not your guy, and you keep like acting like, you know, like, oh well, you know, Jesus always said that we're gonna send out the worst to bring out the best, or like they'll bring out some random quote from the Bible that doesn't mean what they think it means to defend how, like, well, you know, Trump is the whores and the prostitutes that come and save us all and stuff like that. It's just like, okay. And then, like, you know, the people who are just like, well, you know, Trump's a businessman and the economy's doing so well. I don't feel like it's him. Like, it doesn't feel like he's doing this. It feels like he's actually impeding progress.
I was going to say another thing, just not to skip, but the China deal.
Yeah.
That I have no faith that that's actually going to pass.
Yeah.
He is going to get in the middle of that and mess it up. That is going to be what happens.
This is the eternal, like, if it was any other administration and you had announced that you had the framework for a trade deal between two countries like this.
Deal's done.
I mean, they're crossing the I's, they're dotting the T's. Maybe we're going to move a little bit on, like, you know, well, maybe it won't be $110 million for making sure that we have, you know, produce shipped from California to China, but it'll be $100 million instead. You know, like, that sort of thing is like a normal administration. I just don't trust that this is ever going to, like, I feel like Trump just shows up on the last day and says that he wants 5 things out of the deal, and we're back to page 1. I feel like the embargo stuff or the tariff stuff has been so bad for him, despite glowing economic news everywhere else, that it just and that's just the thing. Like, you know, it's so much like team sports. It's so disheartening where, you know, like, you're gonna stick with your guys no matter what, because whether or not they're screwing you or not, they're, you know, you're a Republican, so you got to vote for Republicans. Like, this is the thing I put on Twitter earlier this week from my time hop. Like, 10 years ago or 8 years ago, Obama signed the NDAA, which gave away all of our rights forever. It took the stuff that was the framework of the Patriot Act and put it into the operating budget of the country, for which it has remained the last 10 years, so that they can say, oh, you repealed the Patriot Act, but all the worst stuff is now in the National Defense Authorization Act and gets worse and worse and worse every single year.
And it's now wrapped up with defense spending, so if they vote against it, now they're going to go home and
he could have vetoed. He could have vetoed. He could have said, hey, this isn't worth what we're doing, but nobody paid attention. Nobody made a big stink about it, and it just passed through. And that's Democrats screwing you over there.
Yep.
And then you're talking about Trump like he's doing anything for you. Like, 2 years ago we were begging Republicans to not on net neutrality. God, fuck. What's the word I'm looking for there? Repeal net neutrality.
Yes, don't repeal net neutrality.
I mean, like, it's just incredible that, like, it has nothing to do with the party. Stop thinking about people in terms of party. Just think about them in terms of, like, who they are and what they stand for and how they treat you.
And
like,
not to circle back to it, but one of the things in Bombshell that was astounding to Roxy when we went to see it was the discussion of, like, wait, what do you? They're saying that they're controlling the discourse, and I'm like, yes. They absolutely control the discourse.
Yeah.
They make it seem like this is a Christian thing to do, and it's absolutely not.
To me, it all. But Trump himself has been saying, "Look at the transcript. Look at the transcript." And part of the reason why he's been saying that is because he knows none of the people who support him is going to actually read this fucking thing.
Of course not. Yeah.
Like it'd be me. Might as well be going like, "Well, go to the scene of the murder. Go see if you see anything related to me there." It's just like, well, you left your ID right there next to the body. Just like, yeah, but that's in the report. Nobody's going to read.
Didn't you say you could shoot a guy on Fifth Avenue and nothing would happen to you? And then you were on Fifth Avenue. There's a guy who was shot. We found your ID on the body. You have a gun in your hand.
We found your blood and a bag saying William Baker's blood right next to the body.
I have a feeling you might be involved. And nobody's going to read the report anyway. It doesn't matter. But circling back, so the two articles of impeachment.
Yeah.
Abuse of power and obstruction of Congress.
Yeah.
Neither of which seem too clear-cut. Neither of which are what I would have gone with if I were the judiciary. But, we discussed previously emoluments is a really complicated concept, and would the American people understand that? Obstruction of justice, I think, is easier to understand and less partisan than obstruction of Congress.
I would say obstruction of Congress is going to be the one that is harder. I mean, like, traditionally, obstruction is what presidents get charged with when they're going through the impeachment process. But part of the reason why that would not work, I think, in this one is because they specifically made it regarding Congress and not regarding justice. It wasn't obstruction of justice, it was obstruction of Congress. So you're opening up the door for the Republican senators to say, well, yeah, but this was a whole sham investigation from the beginning, and Democrats have been on this this whole thing about wanting to impeach the president from day one, and of course he didn't want to work with the Congress because they were just going to railroad him, and we're not even going to consider this, even though everything that he's done has been a clear 100% to the letter of the law violation of.
And the other problem is, though, that obstruction of justice means that there had to be an investigation that you were obstructing, and I think that the judiciary's problem is what happens when you take testimony from the Justice Department and they say, "Oh no, nothing about this involved our investigation whatsoever. Didn't encumber us." So what they're talking about is the things he said that might have changed testimony before Congress, which they can say for sure did happen. And it's within their control, whereas obstruction of justice is not. And again, abuse of power seems pretty vague for something to be impeached on. It's an emoluments clause violation. That's true.
I mean, I imagine that what they're going to try and do is throw in a couple, like in the final written version of the articles of impeachment. Like we'll find little things like, in addition to his obstruction. Or his violation of
the emoluments clause. He also did this.
Right. Or this could equal, his thing with Ukraine could also equal more money in his pockets because of this and that.
Yeah.
And sort of tie in like an emoluments level thing in there, just to, I don't know. It's so. To me, what's unfair about this whole thing is that I can't even have a conversation with people who disagree with me because the facts of the story that we're both operating on are not the same. Yeah. I was listening to Corolla on Reasonable Doubt this past week because they were talking about impeachment. So it's like, I think I'm gonna dip in and see what they're talking about, right? And it's clear at this point, since Garagos has gotten fired from CNN, that he's been watching a lot more Fox News, and. It's a Fox News and Fox News aimed slant on what the story of the week is, and they're talking about it, and I'm just like, where are you getting this stuff? What part of the
Fox News?
What part of the news are you getting this from? And it's so distant and separate from what is out there everywhere else.
Yep.
And it's, you know, if you live in the world where your news is just entirely different on the base level, then I don't know what to, you know, I remember, like, I was talking to my dad. I was just like, "Do you hear the story about Devin Nunes?" He's just like, "Oh, whatever it is, I'm sure it's not true." I'm just like, well, everyone's reporting. Like, the only people who are saying that is Fox News, so it's sort of hard for me to believe that everyone else is wrong. Like, you mean to tell me that all these, like, things that evidence that reporters have dug up is all, like, fake? Or
I don't know if you know this. Fox is fair and balanced, and no one else is saying fair and balanced.
Yeah,
so
that's true. I mean,
clearly. And speaking of fair and balanced, Congress, in their infinite wisdom, decided to be a little fair and balanced because once they passed the articles of impeachment, they then also passed a bipartisan Defense Authorization Act, not the NDAA, but
another
spending bill, giving Trump $1.6 billion for the formation of Space Force.
Yeah.
So
I just don't get why. I know they want to make it seem like, you know, like, even with the worst president in the history of the world, we managed to get things done.
Yeah.
But, like, nobody's really buying, like, nothing is really getting done. Like, this bill is purely conjecture. Like, it's just putting it out there in the world that both Republicans and Democrats are bipartisan.
Yep.
When they want to be. And I think that in the end, it helps Trump more than it helps the Democrats.
And hey, by the way, you pass it and it goes to the Senate and they take out any of the Democratic leaning stuff. And then you go into conference committee and you say, well, if you want this passed, we need a version that's closer to the Senate bill.
Yeah.
Okay. So now what have you done? You've given all of it for nothing, and you've basically undercut yourself on the articles of impeachment by saying, like, yeah, he's a terrible president, but, I mean, we gave him what he wanted, so...
I mean, the problem is that I don't think the founders, when they were forming this country, ever really thought that the conversation that we would be having with the president is even baseline competency.
No.
I feel like they imagined that whoever would actually win the presidency, like, maybe there would be better people and worse people, and not everyone would be, you know, the Rhodes Scholar who was a senator and a Supreme Court justice before he, you know, like, whatever grand resumes they had imagined these people would have. But, like, it almost seems like they never dawned on them that there could be somebody so dumb and incompetent be president. And like, it wouldn't even rise to that level. Like,
not to circle back to it again, but I had forgotten that Megyn Kelly.
We don't have to write "and dogs can't do this" in all our driving laws, because dogs would never drive cars. Cut to 20 years later, and dogs are driving, and there's nothing against the rules in it.
So I had forgotten that Megyn Kelly was a huge critic of Trump during the campaign.
Yeah.
And there's a quote that's kind of in the very first few minutes of the movie. And I was like, oh, I forgot she said that. Where I think it was at the debate, but it might have been before the debate, where she said, you are auditioning for George Washington's job. We must require the highest level from anyone who is going to take the job once held by George Washington. Now, I don't like the hero worship of George Washington or Thomas Jefferson or the Roosevelts or anyone. Maybe Teddy. Teddy's a badass. You might be cool, but you're never going to be Teddy Roosevelt riding a moose through a river. Cool. All right? I'm just saying. But there is like a truth to that. Like they were like, all right, so who might be up for this job? Well, we got Washington. He's definitely going to be up first, right? Yeah. Adams, you're at the top of the list. Super confident in that guy. Jefferson, definitely there. At the time, they were talking about Hamilton, Burr. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I got a list of like 15, the first 15 presidents. And you know what? Adams' kid, pretty smart.
Yeah.
And he's going to go off and be an ambassador for a while, but he'll come back. And there's competency is understood.
The problem is that once you got to around like 11 or 12, like rounding into like Fillmore, like there was a sort of thought amongst the American people that like, oh, maybe we've picked all the best people who could possibly be president, and we're done now. Mm-hmm. But I mean, like, even Millard Fillmore's horrible administration is nothing compared to this. He was a smart, competent guy who just didn't get any of the breaks and made some awful mistakes. But I mean, like,
Chester Arthur.
Yeah, I mean, Chet Arthur is another, like, he went out to be to be a judge,
Supreme Court justice.
Supreme Court justice. Like he was a capable person. They just
Ulysses S. Grant. Yes, horribly corrupt and gave away many, many, many things, but also won the Civil War.
Yeah.
Very competent man. And had there been a war to follow up, the Civil War, would have most handily won that as commander-in-chief.
Yeah.
However, also just likes having all his flackies or his lackeys around, and just gave them all jobs.
Yeah.
And then it's like, hey, I got a buddy who does oil. Do we got any oil that needs to come out of the ground? Yeah, sure. Give him the job. So yeah, but again, you really have to get to what qualifications did Ronald Reagan have to be governor of California? I was an actor once, and then he ran for president because he was the governor of California.
Well, I think that if I remember correctly, I think Reagan was president of SAG.
He was.
For a while before, like he was basically the president of Hollywood, if you will, for a while there. Because he was like a respected actor, even though he didn't have like a long, incredibly like star-studded career. He was still like a journeyman guy who everyone respected.
Yeah.
And then when he became the president of the SAG, he was, like respected even more for what he was getting done at the time in a very important part of Hollywood history.
You remember why he left the presidency of SAG?
I don't.
Because he named names to Huac. So after that, they were like, hey, I don't know if you get this. Unions, pretty
largely
communist.
Democrat.
Well, largely Democratic. A lot of communists. So they don't really feel safe with you as the president, since you're going to go in there and be like, all right, so at our last meeting, I looked around and I got some names for you. Here we go. Let's start at the top.
Here's all the communists I was able to find.
No particular order. But yeah, so he left. But it's okay, yeah. So, but Clinton, Rhodes Scholar, George W. Bush, he was governor of Texas. Not the smartest guy. Maybe not a great example. Obama, Rhodes Scholar. Okay,
Senator.
So now, Senator before that. Let's go back the other way. George H.W. Bush.
Yeah.
Now, we finally have a Republican I can respect. World War II pilot, head of the CIA, worked in the State Department, worked in the Defense Department.
Vice president
For 8 years, then became president. That's a fucking pedigree to be president. Yeah. Before him was Reagan. Jimmy Carter.
Hillary Clinton, we could do the same sort of thing. Yale law.
Listen,
no, but I'm saying like
it's easy. If I want to be a sound guy and I just murder you and then I murder every other sound guy who might get the job.
It's interesting. I was listening to. Did you hear about her? Did you hear about her interview on Howard Stern?
Oh no.
It's so fascinating to watch Howard nowadays. He's so different from how he used to be.
Is he strongly Democratic again, or?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because he like swung a little bit conservative there for a while until he saw that Trump was Trump. Because he was a buddy. He's a buddy of Trump's.
Yeah.
And I saw him swing towards Trump, and then Trump got crazy, and he was like, "Woo, back this way." So,
well, he claimed that he voted for Hillary in the election, so maybe. I don't know. I don't know specifically. I've never been like a huge Howard Stern fan. It's not that I don't. It's not like I dislike him. It's just never been like. I'm not one of those people who's just like, I gotta listen to all 5 hours of Stern show today. Like,
yeah, I'm a fan of Joe Rogan's, and I will listen to certain shows, but too much. There's too much.
If you told me Joe Rogan is interviewing somebody I really like, then I'll probably check it out.
Yep.
But I will also like put it on YouTube where I can like scrub ahead until I see him talking to the person that I want to hear from, and then listen to him talk for 2 hours to that person, and then get.
If I tell you, Elon Musk is on Joe Rogan's show, he gets high, and they talk about how everything you see is a projection. I'm like, I'm in.
I'm watching that. Yes.
I'm in. Or the guy from Blink-182, who's actually a nuclear physicist, and talked about the same thing, basically, that everything we know is an illusion, or we're a projection, and 2-dimensional projection, 3-dimensional projection, 2-dimensional space. I'm down for that. And then he sits and talks to some UFC guy for like 4.5 hours, and I'm like, I could not care less.
Yeah, I don't care about this.
But and Howard in a way is the same. Like he's used to doing a 5-hour radio show. He's got that. This is what I do.
Well, and I mean, like if you have a satellite radio program too, where you can like. You have your whole channel where they just replay the Stern show over and over again until he records a new one.
Yep.
Then I guess I could see like how you could be, just like sort of in and out of the car all day and sort of pick up most of the show.
I do see that, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, because it's just like I'm never really paying attention, but this way I get all of the show over the course of the day.
Right. Like I run out to do errands, and as I'm going through, I'm hearing a little bit of the show, and I come back and it's more stern, and it's
Yeah.
yeah.
I guess I get that. But
I just don't get I've never been fanatical about him. I've never been like, oh, I can't wait until Stern.
Yeah. Much like the people in Washington, not so fanatical about, governance.
Yeah.
Or, anything, really. But speaking of bad governance, let's take a trip on down to the... Oh, no, I didn't reconnect it. Hang on, folks. It's a black screen, yeah. We were talking through it. Let me find the thing I forgot to reconnect.
Just like the city of Baltimore, it doesn't work.
I know. You click on something doesn't open up. Is anything more typical than that? Hey, so let's take a trip on down to the Baltimore corner.
Where you get the straight dope.
Yeah.
And it's official. Sheila Dixon has announced that she's running for mayor. She joins Jack Young, the current mayor, Brandon Scott, current head of the city council, T.J. Smith, the former police spokesman, and through Vignaraja, who we've talked about, known troublemaker through Vignaraja. You all right?
So I was looking for the reset button. I don't want any of these people to be the mayor of Baltimore. I feel like there's got to be a button somewhere.
I would like more choices, please.
You remember the old Nintendo where they only had 2 buttons? Power, reset. I just assume that I don't want to turn it off because I'm not sure it'll come back on unless we blow in it a little bit. But I figure the reset button's got to be there somewhere, right? Like something I can hit to just start all over with this whole process. Because none of those people should be mayor.
No. I mean, if I had to, I guess I would vote for Brandon Scott. But I feel like if I did, I'd just be doing the same exact fucking thing we've been doing over and over and over again.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I other than the noticeable differences between, like, him and Stephanie Rawlings-Blake, I don't really see any fucking differences between him and Stephanie Rawlings-Blake, or Sheila Dixon before that, or Martin O'Malley before that.
Listen,
or
you've got a diverse set of choices, all right? There's a gigantic douche, and there's a turd sandwich. They're very different. You got to pick one. I'm sorry. That's the way it works. So Sheila Dixon, I almost want her to win. Because I wonder if any city in America has had one mayor be forced out of office twice in 2 different terms. Because I just know she can't keep her hand
Didn't
out of the
Marion
cookie
Barry
jar.
try and win again?
No,
Or try and run again?
He ran for council, and he won. And he was on the council for
Okay, but
a
he
long
never
time
got
till
back to... He never tried to run for mayor again.
No. I think he knew that ship had sailed. Because smart people, when they realize their political career is over...
Know that they're done.
They go off into the sunset. Now, he found a way to serve as a councilman and serve his little district. And he was like, all right, I'm going to keep my power base right here. Sheila. He found a little power base on the council. And he won that, and he just kept that seat. That's maybe what you should do.
I just... she was trying to make the argument like, yeah, I made a little bit of a mistake, but not nearly the same level of the mistakes that the mayors have been making to cause all this pain and crime that run rampant through the city. And when I was mayor, the crime was low and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, no, don't act like you reinvented the wheel. Like the mayorship of Baltimore changed forever the moment Sheila started pulling levers. Like,
if a Republican wins the mayorship of Baltimore for the first time in, I don't know,
it'd be
ever.
It'd be like if Trump isn't impeached, but he loses re-election and then he runs again 4 years from now.
Yeah.
And he's just like, listen, everything was so great when you had me. Don't you want me again? Like,
yeah. Weren't you impeached? Like, yes, but no conviction. No conviction.
So
That's
I'm allowed to run
part.
again. That's
We're
the.
good. To be fair, I don't know if you are convicted if you couldn't. You could still run again.
I think there's one of those legal arguments about the Constitution that's going on between far right
Like
observers and far left observers, because there is a thing that says, and if convicted, can't serve future office of any public integrity and blah 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 blah.
Oh yeah.
But it's sort of like one of those things. Like, are they saying it's worded in such a way? Or are they saying if convicted you can't run anymore, you can't be any kind of public servant, or is it like you can be convicted and then at the same time we decide whether or not you could run again? You know, so like
yeah. So like part of the punishment is yes, we're going to convict you, we're removing you from office, but
much like they
after
did
5 years, you could run again.
Much like they did with Sheila, bringing this around to that.
Yeah.
Sheila, part of her plea deal involved like a small amount of jail time and a fine and restitution, and she couldn't run for office for 5 years or something like that. And like, so basically she lied and waited until she could run for office again, and then she ran for mayor.
Just
like
giving out gift cards to everybody.
Yeah, I mean, like this hypothetically, if they convicted him in the Senate and they said, like, oh, you can't run for 5 years, then he could run again in 2012 or something like that. They just have to decide the terms of where he couldn't run again.
2012.
I mean, 2012. 2022 is what I'm thinking of.
24. Yes, he could run in 2024, which would be the next election.
Yes, I'm sorry. You know what's throwing me off is the whole we're about to cycle into a new decade.
Yeah.
More of this next week.
Yeah.
We're about to cycle into a new decade, and I'm starting to do that thing where I'm not turning over numbers right.
Yes.
Yeah. Anywho.
Yep.
Think that's about it for the Baltimore corner, right?
Yes.
All right. Well, if you want more stumbling to the end, you know where you can go.
Where's that?
OhTheAnthem.com. Corey to OhTheAnthem.com. Oh, the Anthem on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and the listener line 443-219-7595.
What's the number again?
443-219-7595. You all right?
I'm gonna get one of the links. One of the links is the one.
You can find more of me at my website, CoreyBakerFilmmaker.com. I have a completed Marriage Story review that just needs to have all the metadata properly attributed to it, and then it'll be out to you. So should be out by the time you're listening to this podcast if you're listening on Tuesday, and why wouldn't you? Yeah, that's about it for me.
Okay. And we are, for those of you who might be watching live, this is a 2-episode night, so make sure you stick around because we got another episode coming. If you are listening to this in podcast form, you got to wait till next Tuesday. Why don't you join us week to week, live recording, Monday night? Come on.
It's hard to beat.
Be here with us. Let me find another thing. There I am. And you can find more of me at Robert N. Cheek on all your social networks. Make sure you check out robertncheek.com where you can find links to the YouTube channel where I have a special going on this week, Corey.
Oh, what?
Not only this week, but for the next 12 days. 12 consecutive days of reviews.
Wow.
I am doing 12 Days of Christmas as my gift to all of you. Some of my favorite Christmas movies are being reviewed, and you'll get a new episode every single day. They're a little shorter than normal, only like an hour or so. And I'm just kidding, not that long.
Only 2/3 of whatever the running time of the movie is.
But you can find those at youtube.com/Rob Cheek.
That's how I like to think of it. But if it's a 90-minute movie, I want to be in and out with a 15-minute review.
I mean, that's a good policy.
And if it's like a little bit longer than 90, then I'm going a little bit longer than 15, unless I don't have anything to say about it.
With my intro and outro, I try to run like 12 minutes, but the intro and outro push it to like 16 to 18 usually. So
nothing like a Bloomberg ad.
Oh, God.
Making us feel like this whole thing's not worth it.
Just buy the election. But yeah, so you can find links to the youtube.com/Rob Cheek, to me on all social media at Robert N. Cheek, and of course the books, which are available on Amazon.
Buy Rob's books.
And it is official. All of the rights to all of my books have returned to me.
Happy days are here again.
So that means that the Movement series can officially go up on Amazon once again. So those that have been looking for it, I'm going to be working through and editing. I need to do that. That's probably going to be my Christmas project while I'm on vacation, is editing everything up so we can get everything back up again, so that it is available for purchase. So you can find that. But there's still books available on Amazon, so make sure you check that out.
Sounds good.
Yes.
All right. Well, I think we done good here today.
We've done something. I don't know if it's good, but as always, you're listening to the Oh the Anthem podcast, part of the Oh the Anthem digital network. For Corey, this is Rob. Have a great week, everybody.
Until next time.
So yeah, everybody, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back with the next episode. So make sure you stick around and join us then. Thanks.